Listen, let's go on to our next subject. Something that's, man, it's happening and there's no stopping it.
Yes.
Sermon preparation.
Yes.
Should pastors use AI for sermon preparation? Now, this right here, man, I wonder where you stand. Some people say, no, you just need the Holy Spirit and your King James Bible, and you can go ahead, or your Reina Valera.
Yeah.
If you're Spanish.
Yeah, we say, so I come from a Pentecostal background, right? And part of my background is in the Spanish Pentecostal world. We say, somos pentecostales de la cabeza a los pies, right?
There we go.
We're Pentecostals from head to toes. There is the Pentecostal background where AI is like, very much not all Pentecostal backgrounds, to be fair, but a lot of them, especially my background, would be AI in a sermon is not okay. Generally, not always.
I will admit this though. I will say, and we'll talk about whether you should use it or not in sermon preparation, but I will say, recently I've been listening to more preachers. They've been sounding better.
Yeah.
Some of the people have been here for a long time. All of a sudden, yo, man, that was awesome.
Yeah.
So let me clarify something. So, Brian and I, we're in marketing, so we know about this stuff. And in marketing these days, you're not doing work without AI. I don't care who you are, right? You're taking advantage of the tools. I think there's a little bit of a misunderstanding with AI.
Yeah.
So AI stands for artificial intelligence, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't know that that's the best name for it. Maybe the best name we can come up with our own intelligence. But AI really, I don't know if you know this, but AI came from, it all started with them. You know how people started, you would have predictive text when you would text and it would try to guess at the next few words. So that was the beginnings of AI. So, and now what AI is large language models, right? So when they say that AI has been trained, basically what they've done is that they've taken the internet and data dumped it into the AI. So now what they learned is, as they were figuring, the predictive text, the artificial intelligence started creating more content. So artificial intelligence is not really artificial intelligence in a way. What it is our intelligence that we've been putting onto the internet, and now the internet is giving it back to us in just, it's really just communicating what we've been communicating and posting. So if you have a Facebook account or an Instagram and you've been posting stuff, you're part of AI. Like, you were part of the building up of AI.
Yeah.
If you had a website. So that's all it's really given us. So I'm just curious. So maybe I haven't had this conversation with Brian, so I really don't know where he stands. I have an idea maybe, but Brian, where should pastors use AI? Is there a limit? What can be done? What cannot be done? I don't know.
I think again, AI is a tool. It's a tool that we have available to us, and the misconception that people have is that it isn't based on things that are creditable. That is not necessarily true. Although, yes, it can get information that's not always necessarily true.
Yeah.
But again, we don't want to go into AI lessons here necessarily, but the prompt of what you give AI or what you tell AI to give you, you can tell it to give you a credible source, right? And here's the thing. I think personally that AI, like I said before, is a tool, but AI cannot be replacement. It cannot replace, and there's a lot of different things, but specifically in this topic with sermons, I don't think that AI should replace sermons and replace your sermon preparation, but I think it can be a tool that you use along your sermon preparation. There's a big difference between that. Hey, create a 30-minute sermon for my service on Sunday on this Bible verse versus, hey, what is it that happened? What is the context of what's going on in this biblical text, or whatever other examples, even as far as illustrations, like, hey, help me think of an illustration that's related to this, right? Just examples of how you could use it. But I think I think there's a fine line.
Absolutely. So here's the thing with AI. So AI, and forgive me if I geek out a little bit on AI. I find it fascinating, right? And I feel like you either are going to be ahead of the curve when it comes to AI, or you're not. And I do think that everybody should hop on AI. It's not going to replace. It's not going to replace people. It really isn't. But it does come up is an assistant, as a tool that you use. And the one thing that we need to be careful with AI is that AI, what it does sometimes is that it acts very confident. So AI it does hallucinations. So sometimes that's why you need to be careful, and you got to make sure that you know your stuff. So don't just depend on AI, for your study, because you need to read your own Bible, right? And know what the Bible says, so that when AI says something different, you're like, wait a minute, I don't know about that. And you can argue with it or whatever, or just say, yeah, AI, you're crazy. But AI is a tool. And where you need to be careful is the hallucination part, because whatever you ask AI, even if it doesn't know, it will pretend like it knows and give you some crazy answer. So yeah, you want to say something?
Yeah, I mean, just in general, the way AI works, if you ever interacted with AI many times, you could tell it, hey, give me this and this, and in the marketing world, maybe it's more like an ad. Hey, what do you think about this ad? Give me a little bit of the statistics, or whatever it is that you're working with. And then you go and you're like, I'm not sure how I feel about that. Can you review this again? And when you go and you have it review it again, it'll literally go back and be like, you know what, you're right. Maybe you should do this and this and that. So again, the opinion can change on AI. AI is not meant to replace. AI is simply meant to be used as a tool alongside whatever it is that you're preparing. In this case, a sermon. It has to be used alongside. It is extra information that is at your hands quickly, let's say, but it cannot replace your understanding of the Bible. It cannot replace and from my background, it comes to the inspiration of the Holy Spirit in that moment for the preaching that you're going to give. It cannot replace that. There's something divine to the word, and AI can't replace that.
And here's the reality. Even before AI, what were we doing to develop sermons? We were going to commentaries. We were going to Bible handbooks. So we were, in a sense, looking for intelligence, right? Again, the AI piece has made it a little faster because it's grabbed all that information and condensed it for us. So it makes it a little easier in that sense. And I agree. I don't think AI... read your books, read the Bible. Some things you can use AI for, I believe, maybe helping you get a better understanding of a subject, right? Sometimes I use Logos Bible software. And by the way, Logos has AI integrated, but I love it because the difference between using, say, ChatGPT versus Logos AI, I'm not trying to sell Logos to you or anything like this, but it is a good program and you can get it for really cheap. But what it does is that it has the library of books, and then again, going back to that large language model kind of situation, it just looks for the information within your books. So it's almost like a little helper, kind of like, hey, let me just find the information for you, pastor. I'm ready for you. And by the way, large churches, their pastors, they've had preaching teams. They've had people helping them, develop their sermons. So I don't think it's a sin to use AI. I think how you use AI could be sinful. But you can use it, right, for research. You can use it for sermon structure, clarity. I'll be honest, at times, I'm thinking about something and I just want to I would love to talk to a scholar in the moment, but and I know a few by God's grace, but they're not always there with me.
Yeah.
And I'd like to bounce an idea off of somebody. I'll be honest, I'll bounce it off of AI. Hey, what does the Bible say about this? Or I'm thinking this. Go ahead and you can have it critique you and say, where am I going wrong on this? Or and by the way, more and more colleges are starting to get used to AI because it's a thing.
Yeah.
They're saying, hey, it's a thing we're going to have to figure out, like anything, when the calculator was first invented. I'm sure there were teachers that were like, this is of the devil.
Yeah, no, and I think when it comes to AI and sermon preparation in general, to each person has their own theological perspective when it comes to this. So we're not gonna act like if ours is, necessarily the divine truth. It's just our opinion. But ultimately, there are people that would argue, hey, the word is inspired in itself. If the AI is getting from an inspired text, as long as it is really, using correct context and all of that, then it's usable. Yes. However, I would, of course, from our perspective, I would argue what John 14:26 says. But the Advocate, the Holy Spirit, whom the Father will send in my name, will teach you all things and will remind you of everything I have said to you. And I know that
that's good.
That is where I would say that the Holy Spirit does have a lot to do with preparation of sermon. I 100% believe that, and I think I think the Lord consistently has a word for His church, and is consistently using the prophetic word of the preaching to be able to speak to the church actively today.
Absolutely.
And yes, it is dissecting. It is opening up a text, and it is exposing it, right, and putting it before the people. But I think that the Holy Spirit has to be in the center of all of it as well.
Absolutely.
And I think AI can help with writing a sermon, but it can't preach one, right? We can't allow AI to be the sermon that we are preaching, and I think that is the danger behind it.
Now I'm gonna put something to you, and we come from. We love our Spanish church.
Yeah.
We do. We're both Hispanic, and I thank God for my Spanish heritage and the churches we grew up in. But if we're honest, the reality is, our Spanish pastors, especially way back when, now they're getting more education. But way back when, I mean, we've heard some heretical stuff.
Oh, for sure.
And we didn't know it was heresy at the time.
Sure.
We're just like, the pastor said it, so that's what it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's salvation, the security of my salvation for me personally was a thing that I didn't grow up to understand until I was like almost 18 years old, and I was like, these are things that we have to understand, and we should be teaching our kids since a young age. And I'm not, again, my roots, I thank God for it, but in the end of the day, there is, that is a deficit many times in the Spanish church where there is not enough knowledge, and AI can really help these pastors get a little bit more understanding. In some cases, it is still dangerous, though.
So here's my question, Brian. Would you rather listen to an AI sermon or like a messed up, heretical message?
Oh, man.
That's on fire, but...
Listen, I'd rather listen to the least heretical thing ever. I guess that's how I can put it, right?
We'll take AI.
I might just take AI because, I mean, a heretical preaching is a heretical preaching. It is not the truth. It's not inspired. So it's hard. And I think that the question that pastors need to ask themselves, or any preacher at any point, whether they're using AI or whether they're questioning using it, they need to ask themselves, where's the integrity behind it? Why am I doing? What is my motive behind what they, right? That's a lot of the things of what we do as Christians, right? But I think a pastor and a preacher needs to ask, why am I doing? Am I doing it because I just want to be lazy? Or am I doing it because I just don't want to go out and study the word? Or take up the time for it? Or is it because of the fact that I genuinely think this is true? And those are the people I would generally give, okay, you have a theological perspective, sure. But I'll give you a little bit of leeway, right? From my perspective, but your motive is very important in all of this.
And that's always, absolutely, that's always the case.
In everything you do as a Christian.
That's always the case. What's your motivation? Why are you doing this? How are you doing it? And are you doing it again to cheat the system, if you will, or like because I want to watch an extra Netflix episode or something?
Yeah.
So your heart obviously makes a difference there, right? So awesome, very cool. So.